get ready, because we're going to take a deep dive into TWIN 4.0.
Yeah, super interesting project.
It is helping out European manufacturing, small and medium enterprises become much more eco-friendly.
Really pushing for some positive changes in how businesses, approach sustainability.
Yeah, and we've got some source material here.
We do. We've got excerpts from their environmental impact audit tool methodology document.
Quite a mouthful.
It is, but it's full of really useful stuff, a lot about how companies can go about really assessing their impact, on things like water, energy, waste, and chemicals.
I like to think of it as almost like a cheat sheet.
It's a cheat sheet.
Yeah, for understanding like the key elements of industrial sustainability.
Exactly.
And we're going to cover the what, the why, and most importantly,
The how.
yeah, how you can actually use this.
Right, because it's all about practical application.
Exactly.
So one of the things that really jumped out at me was how TWIN 4.0 uses these things called decision trees
Oh, yeah, the decision trees.
to guide businesses. So think of it like a flowchart, leading you down a path to the actions that are most relevant for you.
Yeah, I love that.
For example, there's one on water, right? And it starts with a really simple question. Do you use water in your production?
Okay.
And if you say yes, well, then it branches out to consider things like, how much water you're consuming, what kinds of effluents are being produced, and what treatment options might be available.
So it's almost like it's like a self-assessment tool, that helps companies kind of cut through the noise.
Yeah, no more feeling overwhelmed by all the regulations.
Exactly.
But having a roadmap is one thing. We also need to measure our impact.
Yeah, how do we actually track this stuff, right?
And that's where the TWIN 4.0 calculators come in.
Calculators, okay.
They've got a bunch of them, and they're pretty sophisticated. Like, take the carbon footprint calculator.
Yeah, we all know about carbon footprints.
Right, but TWIN 4.0 goes deeper,
Deeper hell.
by focusing on these things called emission factors.
Emission factors.
It's not just about how much energy you use, but what kind of energy.
Oh, right, because like coal obviously is going to produce more CO2 than like natural gas.
Exactly.
So a company in, I don't know, France, where they use a lot of nuclear power, would have a very different footprint than a company, say, in Poland, where they're still heavily reliant on coal.
Exactly. And the calculator even lets you factor in those differences by specifying the country and the year.
Okay.
But what really blew my mind was how TWIN 4.0 tackles this concept of, like, hidden water.
Hidden water. What is that?
It's the water that's embedded in all the stuff we use, right? The raw materials, the electricity, everything.
Oh, I never thought about that.
It's about understanding your total water footprint, not just what you're directly using.
So even if a company's super water efficient on site, they could still have a big impact just based on like their supply chains and the material choices.
Exactly. And TWIN 4.0 helps you uncover those indirect uses.
Okay, so that's water. What about waste?
Waste. This
Yeah.
is where TWIN 4.0 gets really interesting.
How so?
Well, they challenge us to flip our thinking about waste,
Turn it on its head.
Instead of seeing it as a problem, they say, what if it's actually a resource?
A resource, huh?
Yeah, and they've got this biogas potential calculator that shows you how to do it.
Wait, back up. Biogas. From waste.
It's all based on this process called anaerobic digestion,
Okay.
where microorganisms break down organic matter, things like food scraps, agricultural residues, even sewage sludge, and they produce biogas as a byproduct.
So like a company that generates tons of food waste could actually use that to power their operation.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's about empowering businesses to make these really smart decisions and potentially turn what was a cost center into a valuable asset.
I like that a lot.
So we've covered water, we've covered waste.
What about chemicals?
Oh yeah, chemicals. Now that can be a tricky one. But TWIN 4.0 doesn't shy away from it. So they don't have a specific calculator for chemicals, but they put a lot of emphasis on responsible management.
Right, and I'd imagine that starts with complying with regulations like REACH.
Absolutely. REACH is a big one. But they also go a step further with this thing called the SCIP database.
The SCIP database, I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, it's like a digital fingerprint for hazardous substances.
Okay.
It tracks those substances throughout their entire life cycle, from manufacturing to disposal.
So if I'm making a chair and there are certain chemicals in the paint I'm using, I need to report that to the SCIP database.
Exactly. That way, everyone's informed, the consumers, the recyclers, everyone involved.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And this level of detail is what makes TWIN 4.0 so revolutionary. It's not just about, broad strokes. It's about getting into the nitty-gritty.
I like it.
So we've assessed our impact. Now what? Well, the next step is creating a TWIN 4.0 transition strategy.
Transition strategy, okay?
It's about moving beyond assessment and taking action.
Yeah, actually doing something with all this information.
Exactly. And it starts with understanding where you stand right now based on all those assessments we just talked about.
Right, you got to know your starting point before you can figure out where you want to go.
Exactly. So you use those decision trees, the calculators, to create like a baseline. And then you set clear objectives and indicators to track your progress.
Like, we want to reduce our carbon footprint by 15% over the next 5 years.
Exactly.
But goals are one thing. How do we make sure we're not setting ourselves up for failure here?
Well, that's where the action plan comes in.
The action plan.
It outlines the specific steps you'll take to achieve your objectives. Like, are you going to install energy-efficient equipment, implement a recycling program, explore a biogas plant, that kind of stuff.
That does seem like a lot to manage. How do we, keep track of all that?
Well, that's where continuous monitoring comes in.
Continuous monitoring?
You're constantly checking your progress against those objectives and indicators, making adjustments as needed.
So if your carbon footprint isn't going down as much as you'd hoped, you might need to revisit your action plan. Explore some new strategies.
Exactly. It's an iterative process. You're constantly learning and refining your approach. And remember, you repeat the entire impact assessment periodically to get a fresh look at your overall progress.
So it's a cycle.
It is. Assess, act, monitor, reassess. Always striving for a more sustainable future.
I like that.
And here's the key takeaway, the big aha moment. Sustainability isn't a burden.
Okay, I got to push back on that a little. Going green usually means spending more green, right?
Not necessarily. A lot of times, reducing your environmental footprint can actually save you money.
Really?
Think about energy efficiency. If you use less energy, your utility bills are going to go down.
True, but what about those bigger investments, like installing a biogas plant? That's got to be a big hit to the bottom line.
Well, in the short term, yeah, maybe. But long term, it's a different story.
How so?
Because if you can generate your own energy from waste, you're less reliant on expensive fossil fuels. And that means significant cost savings down the road.
So it's about playing the long game, making those strategic investments that might seem costly up front, but then pay off in the long run.
Exactly. And there's also the potential to create entirely new revenue streams.
Okay, now you're talking my language.
Imagine selling excess biogas back to the grid,
Right.
or taking that recycled waste and turning it into a marketable product. Suddenly, sustainability becomes a driver of innovation and growth.
Instead of just a cost center.
Exactly. It reminds me of the whole concept of the circular economy, where waste is minimized and resources are constantly being reused.
Yeah, I like that.
And it's not just about the economic benefits either. There are reputational benefits too.
Now you're really speaking my language. Consumers these days, they care about sustainability.
Absolutely. Companies that are seen as environmentally responsible, they have a competitive edge, It helps them attract talent too. People want to work for companies that align with their values.
So embracing sustainability isn't just about doing the right thing for the planet.
Right.
It's about doing the smart thing for your business.
Exactly.
So TWIN 4.0, they've given us a roadmap, they've given us a toolkit, they've given us a whole new way of thinking about this stuff.
A blueprint for industrial sustainability.
And they've shown us that it's not just about compliance, it's about innovation, it's about opportunity, it's about creating a better future.
For everyone.
So what does all this mean for our listeners?
It means you have the power to make a difference, whether you're a business owner, an employee, or just a concerned citizen.
We all have a role to play in creating a more sustainable future.
And TWIN 4.0 has given us the tools and the inspiration to do just that.
They've shown us that it's not just about following the rules, but about finding creative solutions and turning challenges into opportunities. So think about it. What if industrial waste wasn't seen as a liability anymore, but as a valuable resource? A resource that could power our homes and businesses, drive innovation, and create this more circular economy.
That's the kind of future TWIN 4.0 is helping us build, a future where sustainability and profitability go hand in hand.
A future where industrial activity is actually in harmony with the environment.
Exactly. It's time to embrace this, what they call twin transition, and build a brighter future
Together.
together.
That's it for our deep dive into TWIN 4.0. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning.
And keep diving deep.
Yeah, it does seem like a lot to manage.
Well, TWIN 4.0, they really emphasize, a realistic approach
Okay.
tailored to each company.
Makes sense.
You don't have to do everything at once, right? It's about making strategic choices based on your resources.
What you can actually handle.
Exactly. And that's where that continuous monitoring piece comes in.
Okay, back to that.
Yeah, you're regularly checking in on your progress. How are you doing against those objectives?
Right.
Those indicators?
This is kind of an ongoing thing.
It is. It's iterative,
Always learning.
refining, making adjustments.
So like if your carbon footprint's just not budging,
Yeah,
you might need to go back and look at that action plan.
exactly.
See if there are other strategies.
Maybe new technologies you could be using.
Okay.
And don't forget, you're going to repeat that whole impact assessment
The whole thing.
periodically.
To see how we're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're staying on track.
So it's this cycle.
It is a cycle of assess, act, monitor, and then reassess.
Got it. And all of it is driving us towards.
A more sustainable future, exactly.
And I think, a key takeaway here.
Yeah.
Sustainability.
It's not a burden.
Okay, come on. I got to push back on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Going green, it usually means spending a lot more green, right?
Not necessarily, not at all.
Right.
In a lot of cases, reducing your environmental footprint, it actually leads to cost savings.
Okay, how?
Well, just think about energy efficiency.
Uh,
The less energy you use,
right.
lower utility bills.
True. But what about like the big investments?
Yeah.
Installing a biogas plant, that's got to be a huge hit.
Short term, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
But long term, totally different story.
Okay, break that down for me.
So if you can generate your own energy from your waste,
Uh-huh.
you're not as dependent on, those expensive fossil fuels.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
And that translates to some serious cost savings down the line.
So it's kind of like playing the long game,
Exactly.
making strategic investments that might seem, painful up front,
Yeah,
but ultimately pay off.
exactly. And there's also the potential for creating entirely new revenue streams.
All right, now you're talking my language.
Right. So imagine, selling excess biogas back to the grid.
Okay.
Or what if you could take that recycled waste
Mm.
and turn it into something you could sell?
So sustainability becomes a source of income
Exactly. It's a driver of innovation, of growth.
instead of a drain.
Exactly.
This kind of reminds me of the circular economy,
Yeah.
where waste is, minimized,
hmm
resources are used much more efficiently.
And it's a beautiful thing.
It is.
And, it's not just about the economic benefits either.
Yeah.
There are reputational benefits to think about as well.
Well, you're really speaking my language.
Right. I mean, consumers these days, they
Mhm.
really care about sustainability.
They do.
And companies that are seen as, environmentally responsible,
Hmm.
they have a real advantage.
They do, for sure.
It helps them attract talent too.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, people want to work for companies that share their values.
That makes a lot of sense.
So embracing sustainability,
Yeah.
it's not just about doing the right thing for the planet.
It's good for business.
It's the smart thing to do for your business.
Love it.
So what TWIM 4.0 has done here, they've given us this roadmap, this toolkit, a whole new way of thinking.
Mm-hmm. A whole new framework.
They've shown us that sustainability,
Yeah.
it's not just about compliance.
It's more than that.
It's about innovation. It's about opportunity. It's about a better future.
For everyone.
For everyone, exactly.
So what does this all mean
Yeah.
for our listeners?
It means that you have the power to make a difference.
Everyone does.
Whether you're a business owner, an employee,
Mm-hmm.
just a concerned citizen,
We all have a role to play.
in creating that more sustainable future.
I like that.
And TWIN 4.0 has given us the tools,
The inspiration.
the inspiration to do it.
Yeah, and they've shown us that it's not just about, following rules.
Right.
It's about finding those creative solutions, turning challenges into opportunities.
Absolutely.
So think about it. What if we could take, industrial waste
Yeah.
And instead of seeing it as a liability, we saw it as a valuable resource.
I love that.
A resource that could, power our homes and businesses,
Right. Yeah.
help drive innovation, and create this more circular economy
That's the future TWIN 4.0 is helping us build.
where sustainability and profitability, they go together,
Hand in hand.
and where industrial activity is actually in harmony with the environment.
It's a beautiful vision.
It is. It is.
It's time to embrace that twin transition
Absolutely.
and build that brighter future together.
Together.
That's it for our deep dive into TWIN 4.0.
Until next time, keep learning
Keep questioning.
and keep diving deep. So to wrap up our look at TWIN 4.0, let's leave our listeners with something to think about.
A challenge, yeah?
A challenge.
Imagine a future where we don't just manage waste, right? We
Right.
actually harness it.
We use it.
We use it, exactly.
Where, those industrial byproducts,
Yeah.
they become the building blocks of something new,
Of a better world.
of a more sustainable world.
Exactly.
It's a powerful idea.
It is.
Turning what we consider a problem
Yeah.
into a solution.
And TWIN 4.0, they're showing us how to do it.
Yeah. Not just in theory.
No.
They're giving us real tools, real strategies.
Practical solutions.
It's really inspiring to see this happening.
Yeah,
This
right.
blend of Industry 4.0 with a real commitment to the environment.
It's what real innovation looks like.
This is what it's all about.
Absolutely.
So that's it for our deep dive into TWIN 4.0.
Hope you enjoyed it.
We hope this has given you, a fresh perspective
A new way of looking at things.
on what's possible.
When we combine that digital innovation
Right.
with that ecological awareness,
Exactly.
and remember
Yeah.
this journey towards sustainability.
It's not a solo mission.
It's something we do together.
We all have a part to play.
Every step we take,
Every choice we make
it all contributes.
to building that brighter future.
Exactly.
So until next time,
Keep exploring.
keep questioning.
Keep diving deep.